Well, the power of the pause can help you be remarkably more effective in your message. It can make you significantly more effective. It could add efficiency to get your message across at a way higher level. It's the same as what you just said, without the buts and the filler words and trying to blend it all together.
It's almost like when you're doing your pause, it's like you're giving the idea that you are searching for the right words just to make sure you're understanding, you're hearing, you're listening, and that you're looking for the right words to respond with your pause. It's not like me actually thinking about what I need to think about or what I'm saying. It's the genuineness of just really interpreting what they're saying. It's a hard thing to learn.
There are dozens of utilities that can exist in a pause. Sometimes it's to add dramatic effect. Sometimes it's to create space to put between ideas. Sometimes it's to hold a curiosity gap. Sometimes you're using pause because you don't know what you're going to say next. That's okay. I'm sure all of us have been there in a situation in a presentation when we think are lost for words and that you've paused for what felt like 3 weeks, but really it was 3 seconds. I'm like, that was so good.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what was happening up here at the time when I was being so good. I thought, who am I? Where am I? Who are these 1,700 people? It's like, how did I get here? Into those kind of moments.
Yeah.
But a pause doesn't have one use. It has 100. And it is one of the most powerful tools that we have as orators and professional speakers, is to embrace it. And why it's so valuable as speakers that have been given permission to speak, and why it's so much harder to utilize in everyday language. It's way harder to be interrupted when you're on stage with a microphone. It's way harder that when you've been given the permission to present, you know you're not going to be interrupted. You can't practice pauses in the bar because you won't get your point out. So what we practice in everyday language is to avoid the pause, because we're using things like and but and so and carrying the points into each other, because we're like, no, it's not your turn yet. It's not your turn yet. It's not your turn yet. I've still got more to be able to say. So the most important thing that I wanted to share with you today is something that's going to be remarkably important. I'll get to it in a minute. I'll get to it in a short period of time. You're going to love it. It's probably the most important thing. I can't remember what it is. So we start becoming remarkably verbose because we're trying to hold space. Say it less. Say it better. Say it cleaner. And give them the space to think about the thing that you just said. That's a handful of thoughts on pausing. What would you add?
The only thing I'd add is that the better you know your material, the easier it is to pause.
100%. Pause.
When I saw you in Forward in June or July in Vegas, there's probably 1,000 plus people there, big stage and all that. And I think, if I recall, it's a 2-day deal. I think you were the only one who came off the stage.
Yep.
And is that a common thing for you, or is that for you?
Yes.
Or?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I like this. I like it personally because it makes you want to listen to you better, more clearly, closely.
Yep.
The kneeling that he did there when he was talking to you, it's a classic. It is. And it's because the fact that he wants to get that focus, that linear, having that level of relationship with the person that's asking the question, for them to actually stop and listen and have a connection with them.
Yeah, I just haven't seen it. I saw Andy Andrews do it. I saw Matty Johnson do it, and that's the only speaker I've seen come in the crowd.
You know, my favorite thing that Phil did is he sits on stage. He sits down.
He does that too.
Yeah.
He also gets around and walks around.
Right.
Like the little kid swings his feet.
At least you know we're paying attention.
Yeah. There is an obnoxious amount of thoughtful thought to all of that. And it isn't, do you get off stage, do you get on stage? It isn't, do you sit on stage, do you walk around, etc. Because the majority of people think that's a tactic, they do it badly. I've seen it done terribly, repeatedly, where people will come off stage. When you come off stage, you lose power. So you best come off stage on purpose, knowing that your intention was to lose power. You're looking to be able to bring the eye level down to something that is manageable. If you are going to come off stage at some point, understand that the AV crew are going to hate you for it. Because what we've now got is we've now created all this complexity in audio and feedback and, well, where are we going on the IMAGs and what's happening with because. So you have to be able to choreograph this to have them realize that they're part of the team and that they understand the show. The event organizer is going to tell you they don't want you to do it. You have to be able to explain to them, here's why. And at this part of the program, people are going to find it difficult from an energy point of view. They've just had 7 speakers ahead of them that have stood on the stage and told them that they're better than them. They haven't told them that they're better than them, but that's the sentiment that's come through in every presentation. And you want people to understand and feel like they've been seen and they've been heard. So the reason I come off a stage sometimes is it's non-negotiable that you're going to listen. You can ignore me when I'm on stage. You can't ignore me when I'm here.
Exactly.
And if I plan my movement and I'm here and I don't just wander around and I come here to Nick, but then I back up quickly and I'm here to Trish, well, you're wondering where's he going to go next, right? So what's everybody's listening doing?
Paying attention.
So I'm coming off stage to create intentional listening.
Yeah.
My movements are what would seem to be sporadic, but they're not, because I'm coming here and I'm looking at Chris, but I'm going to come here and I'm going to talk to Carlos. Right?
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we are heightening the intensity on purpose of the experience. What we might then do is, I remember particularly a stage setup that was just stupid, and it was the Tom Ferry Summit event in 2022. It's like I don't know, maybe how many feet wide? 150 feet wide on the front, and then it's a T shape. With a set of stairs that drop down and then a pop-up and then an island. And you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? I was in that room before anybody was in that conference hall for 7,000 people, 4:15 a.m. that morning. Nobody else was there. And what was I doing? I was thinking, how am I going to use this room as a prop? How do I create intimacy in a 7,500 person audience? How do I have people feel like that they are truly locked in and listening and this is for them? You learn a 7,500 person audience is not a 7,500 person audience. It's a block of different audiences. You got a VIP experience that's down here on the floor. In the cheap sheets at the back are the new recruits that are there with freebie, like somebody got me in the room to have FOMO of why I'm not down the front. But these are recruits that people want to be able to bring into it. You've got coaches that are around in different areas. You've got people in their clans and their collectives, etc. It's not one audience, it's 7, 8, 9 different audiences in the same audience. So I'm like, how do I shape parts of the presentation when I'm talking to different parts of it? I get in the morning, I find the AV crews that are on the IMAG. We got boom IMAGs, we got wide IMAGs. What do I show up with? Fistful of Starbucks gift cards. What am I doing? I'm saying that we got a show to put on today. Guys, I know you're going to hate me for this, but I need you to be on my side to be able to help us put on a show. And I do a piece in a big keynote of that nature is I might introduce the triangle of ours in curiosity, empathy, courage. It's a really important point at that moment in time in the industry. How do I do that in a way that creates intimacy in a 7,500 person audience? I plan how I'm going to get to that point in my presentation, navigating the floor space, popping up, popping down, playing down into the VIP seats, calling people out by names, etc., making people feel special there. When I get to the top of the T, I'm playing out to the bleachers at the back over there, talking directly to those people. I'm thinking, how the heck am I going to use that island out there and make it make sense without me feeling like I'm dancing in the middle on the round and this is a rock concert? I want to use it. Nobody else is going to use it. Nobody else is going to use it with intention. So I drop down, I come up the stairs, and I sit on the top step of the stair and do the thing that everybody ever says to never do, which is to turn your back on an audience. Turn my back on the audience on purpose, looking back at the slide. But where's the IMAG? Straight over my shoulder, looking back directly at the slide with me. I narrate 12 minutes of a presentation with the back to the audience, narrating the slide with the IMAG over it. That's the level of intention that you're looking to be able to bring to it if you're coming off the stage, if you're doing these things. It's on purpose. And if I'm going to look to be able to drop my eye level down and create intimacy, I might sit on the edge of a stage, which is a really weird thing to do. They're like, why you sat there? But in all of these decisions, the mistake that almost everybody makes if they ever try it, They have no idea how to get back. Right? You're going to come down on the floor, do crowd work. How are you getting back to the stage at some point? And what do you get? Because they get to a point and they're like, oh, I'm here. I now need to be over there. How do I get back over there? So you have to plan the way back. And it's hard. The earliest lesson I've got of this where I added the right intentionality is I was asked to deliver a 35-minute speech on the future of speaking at NSA in 2017. I delivered an exactly what to say presentation. In fact, there's probably video of it somewhere. And what they had is the main stage, and then they had other stages out on the floor. They wanted to say the future of speaking was event organizers are doing all this weird stuff. I hated the idea. But guess what happens? You got the main stage, you got these other 2 pop-up stages. You got 3 stages. I'm like, no, you don't. You got 5. You got the one you start on. You got the floor. You've got the next one. You go back on the floor. You got the next one. You got the floor, and then you got the one you finish on. It's not 3 stages. It's 4 stages. 1 counts twice, and the floor. You've got to work the presentation to be able to get through them. And then you've got to plan your content that says when I'm on the floor, I'm talking about stuff that this is the right place to be. When I'm back on the stage, so you've got to be making the right points and the right message at the right time. It's obnoxious from a craft point of view if you're going to choose to do it, and you have to make it look like it's spontaneous. That it was unintended, that it was impulsive, that it just felt like it was being creative. So there's a long answer to that question. And just trying to give you the level of thoughtful thought that goes into being able to make those kind of decisions, because they're conscious choices. Mike?
What consideration and planning do you give to an effective ending?
To close the presentation? We can definitely answer that question. Was there any questions that were related specifically to the topic we were just talking about before we jump to that?
The stage.
Any part of the dropping down stage stuff?
You said it takes time, but you have to figure out how to get back. So what is your strategy to get back? How do you do it?
You got to write choreography. So you got to write choreography to get back, and which is why you got to understand the room and how far you might want to go. And that could be as simple as you're out into an audience, and like you'll see me where I set up listen and silent and that thing round is I've used that as a point that I can now turn my back to the stage because we're all looking at the slides. People cannot watch, listen, and read at the same time. Many speakers ask people to watch, read, and listen at the same time. So if we're reading and they're listening, they don't have to watch me. I make that apparent by saying that we're all looking this way. Now that I'm looking this way, what is my next movement of travel? If I'm going back, how fast am I going back? Because I want to get to the stage. I want to get there quick. What am I talking about? Something in beta and gamma in a flow state that is a real transition. And that could be as simple as like, so where do we go from here? What we've learned is this, this, and this. It's like a rapid fire summary that people are listening to anchor back. And where do I look to be able to get to when I get back to the stage? So boom, now we're here. Start of new chapter. But it all is punctuated. It's all blocked and staged. It's all thought about to say we are choreographing the movements to be able to get to that.
So you make a point of walking the room
Yep.
ahead of time. How often do you ask for the schematic in advance of what the room setup is going to be so that you can plan your choreography?
I mean, it's a process that we ask for every single time. Do we get it every single time? No. And then even when we do get it, then we get there and we're like, oh, that was cute that you thought it was going to look like that. Right? It's completely different. So we get it, we don't trust it.
Yep.
If you want mastery level of this, I have a 14-year-old daughter, therefore I spend a lot of time listening to and watching Taylor Swift. Sometimes voluntarily, sometimes not. So I took a group of teenagers to go see the movie, and I was fascinated by her blocking on the stage.
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable seeing how she moved intentionally from one place to the other, doing exactly what you said. There was one point where she was way out there. She clearly goes beneath the stage and is driven back. Like you can see the movements are very deliberately planned to be in a certain place and facing a certain way. So if you want like to see the best of the best of the best, do that. Ignore the music. You can turn the music off and just watch her move around the stage, and it's absolute mastery level work.